This is HIMYM Superfans. Hey there, Chris.
Hey, James.
Hello, Mother fans. This is a show where we talk about the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother.
We are going to ruin this show for you.
By ruin it, of course, we mean we're going to spoil the plot points for the entire series. We're busy getting ready to premiere our podcast in January. In the meantime, we thought we'd dig into our archives and show you some of our early test episodes.
The sound quality might be a little off, and there's possibly a part where my nose whistles.
And a dog barking.
We've come a long way, I would say. And we made this. In the meantime, while you're waiting for our premiere episode, we hope you enjoy this.
Let's move on. Let's talk about today's episode. We're going to go with, we're going to jump ahead to Season 4, Episode 4, the 83rd episode overall. This episode is called Murtaugh, and it was aired first October 19th, 2009, written by a writer named Joe Kelly, who also wrote The Bracket in Season 3, The Naked Man in Season 4, The Window in Season 5, and 4 other episodes in Season 6 and 7. So he wrote quite a few.
Yeah, and all the ones that you mentioned by name were really good ones. Those are all very memorable. The Bracket, probably the one I've seen the most because it's on syndication more than any other episode.
I bet. Well, I love this episode, Chris, but let me give you the first word. What makes this episode most memorable to you?
What made this episode most memorable for me was actually the basketball game. You've got the Ginger Kinney as the ref. Yep. You've got the Teen Wolf wearing Michael Jordan's number. And then there's Marshall's speech about being tough on the kids. And he made a lot of really good points that Lily dismisses as being dumb. And I've never figured out what the writer actually intended, Joe Kelly. Is the audience supposed to believe that Marshall's ideas are actually dumb, or is Lily being narrow-minded? I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts when we get there in the episode.
Interesting. Yeah, I was focused on the other story, the Lethal Weapon parody of this entire episode. Is definitely what stands out to me. It's just so fun. Such a fun episode.
It was, and I'm glad that both sides of the episode, the two different storylines, were both memorable enough that it wasn't just one that overshadowed the other.
Yeah. And, well, we'll get into this in the episode, but this isn't one of those rare episodes where Barney's not wearing a suit, and it's pretty funny.
Yes, well, I have a comment about that.
Yeah. So, also, we're going to point out, keep an eye on Alyson Hannigan and Colby Smolder's bellies. This was, they were both pregnant during this season.
That's true. That's true. Although I don't think that Colby's showing at all, but Alyson is looks like she's ready to pop. Yeah.
And, of course, every episode except for Season 1, which we've been watching a lot of lately, is in 16:9. So it's a full HD at this point.
Very cool. So I have a first use.
Hit me.
I'm sorry. The first thing I want to do is the only episode. This is the only episode where we see McCracken, who is the commissioner of laser tag.
Yes. Yeah. I love this episode, but there's so much to get into. Why don't we go ahead and get moving?
Hey folks, James here breaking in. You know, back when we first started this, we had a commentary track that we expect you to sync up with your Netflix or DVD. And since we had a lot of our fans say that they weren't really ready to do that, we decided to cut that out. And what you'll hear next is our post-commentary discussion.
That's it. That's a great episode. I love it so much.
Glad you picked that one.
There's a couple of things I didn't quite get to that I want to go over at the end here. I thought in the scene where Barney and Robin come out of the club at 4 a.m., and Robin's having trouble dialing her phone, I wanted to know if you thought, was that scene supposed to imply that maybe Robin has under the influence of something?
I mean, it could be. I always thought that she was just messing with him because he wants her to dial fast, and he's like, "Did he answer?" He's like, "I haven't even dialed yet." Just messing with him, for getting back at him for all the times that he's messed with her.
Yeah.
But she could be a little slow and sluggish, not able to see the buttons very well.
Yeah. Well, for once, this is definitely an episode where Ted is embracing change. Like the last couple of episodes, we've been talking about Ted fearing change, and this is an episode where he's embracing change and being proactive about it, but it's clear that he's taken it too far, and that's kind of the theme for all the characters, is taking it too far.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Lily and Marshall obviously are taking their coaching basketball methods and the metaphor that, coaching basketball is for life and success, or for how Marshall's going to be as a father. They both take extreme examples there, and Barney, of course, I mean, literally his wardrobe gets extreme to show how committed he is to this ridiculous Murtaugh list.
Yes.
And Robin's, unfortunately, Robin just sort of seems like she's along for the ride in this episode. But I do love that they gave her, the gentleman's agreement huzzah thing as kind of an homage to the slap bet, and Lily getting to be the slap bet commercial. Now Robin gets her own thing between the other guys.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Robin was along for the ride in this episode, but she did the most that she could do with it, I think. Like when you mentioned like her expression when Barney's talking about doing everything on the Murtaugh list, and she has just this look of awe and amazement on her face. It's just like this overacting that's really fun there. It's only for a moment, but if you catch it, it's fun.
Yeah.
And she calls him holding a laundry basket. She's just doing her weekend chores and gives him a call so that she can mess with him for the pierced ear. So they tried to give her as much as they could, I think, but she's not doing anything over the top in the episode like the other four are.
Yeah. The closest she gets is she goes to the rave with Barney, and she commits to the rave just as much. But otherwise, yeah, she's just sort of there for the other characters.
Yep, I would agree with that. So we talked a lot about what the characters did during the episode.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Well, I that's all I really had for this episode, Chris. Did you want to share some more closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think that this would be a good time for Chris's life lessons from How I Met Your Mother. In this episode, Ted embraces being old, while Barney attempts to do everything on the Murtaugh list, and neither of them succeeds. Ted can't go to bed at 8, and Barney can't do the beer bong. In life, it's better to find a balance between acting old before your time and making a list of stuff you're too old to do. Be willing to act like an old person when you need to, and do things that are on your Murtaugh list, just not all of them in one day. This has been another Chris's Life Lessons from How I Met Your Mother.
Great, Chris. I that makes a lot of sense, and especially, if you could draw the same parallel to the B story, and where they finally reach a compromise of selecting some of Lily's ideas and some of Marshall's ideas. And the A story, with the Murtaugh list and the too old stuff, they ultimately decide to compromise somewhere in the middle too.
Yeah, I definitely see why this is one of your favorites, and I like your insight there about how the compromise between the Murtaugh list and being too old even applies to the basketball game, because it was a question that I asked, and I hadn't even made that parallel myself, so that's good stuff.
So that's how we feel about this episode. How do you feel about this episode? Did we miss anything? What do you think about my crazy theories? Did we get anything wrong? Let us know by emailing us at HIMYM Superfans@gmail.com. And if you want a little bit more, go ahead and find us on Facebook. We'll post some stuff on our HIMYM Superfans group page. We'll have some updates, some pictures, different types of fish, stuff like that.
Different types of fish.
That's it for this week, folks. You've been listening to How I Met Your Mother Superfans.
And James and I get so much out of discussing the episode. We really enjoy doing this, and we hope you enjoy it too.
We'll see you next week.